Good evening, everyone. Jeff has the night off. 19 months after Missouri's controversial Second Amendment Preservation Act takes effect, a federal judge shoots it down. Supporters argued SAPA protected a Missourian's right to keep and bear arms, but that judge says it violates the Constitution's Supremacy Clause, which establishes federal law as taking precedence over state law. I spoke to Butler County Prosecuting Attorney Casey Proctor this afternoon to get his reaction to that decision.
I'm just looking forward to working with our local law enforcement officers and our federal counterparts to try to bring violent criminals to justice. I'm looking forward to re-engaging in those talks that are going to help us locate.
Proctor joined several other law enforcement leaders in Southeast Missouri who spoke out against SAPA almost immediately after it became law. Here's a look back at my exclusive reporting on their concerns from August 2021. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's easy to recognize these words from the Second Amendment. And you'd be hard-pressed to find a member of law enforcement who doesn't support them.
I am pro-Second Amendment. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA.
I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA. I have been for years.
I'm a hunter, veteran of foreign war.
I'm pro-Second Amendment as much as anybody else, more than most people.
And the Second Amendment Preservation Act, as the name implies, is aimed at protecting that right. Signed by current Republican governor and former sheriff Mike Parson, it prohibits state and local cooperation with federal officials in any actions that violate a Missourian's right to keep and bear arms.
You know, the title sounds really great.
Well, very early on, I was actually in favor of a large part of this, and then we got into the details of it, and of course, I was like, you know, this is going to be a problem.
Those details caused all these law enforcement leaders to do something even they did not expect: speak out against Missouri's newest state law.
When I first read the legislation, I was concerned because it essentially said that we can't cooperate with the federal government on anything that involves a gun.
Guns like this AR-15 Cape Girardeau police found on Gene Wren when they arrested him back in November 2020. This pistol, too. Wren's now serving 8 years in federal prison. His case worked by an officer Cape Girardeau Police Chief Wes Blair assigned to the ATF task force back in 2017.
And during that time, he was able to get 181 federal indictments on federal gun charges.
I think that the average citizen thinks that the federal agencies are kind of very far away and distant from us, and when the reality is I communicate with my counterpart in the federal system probably 4 to 5 times a week.
That's because federal weapons charges carry longer sentences than state statutes allow. Plus, those convicted serve 85% of their federal time.
We utilize the federal system and the federal authorities to take the worst of the worst criminals off the street.
We could put some of these guys that are going to be repeat offenders in prison, in federal prison.
We're talking about gangbangers and drug dealers with AK-47s on the street.
Losing that ability to work alongside federal authorities to secure those convictions and take weapons like these off the streets led Butler County Prosecuting Attorney Casey Proctor to take action.
I drove to Jeff City, met with our local legislators, expressed my concerns. They were very good to work with. They understood my concerns, but in the end, this bill is cloaked in the title of the Second Amendment Preservation Act, I think that's a big part of the reason why it passed.
There's not an officer around that I know that wants to take anybody's guns away from them. It's just this House bill handcuffs law enforcement.
Now, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey says he does plan to appeal that federal judge's decision throwing out SAPA. In a statement, Bailey says, quote, "I will protect the Constitution, which includes defending Missourians' fundamental right to bear arms. We are prepared to defend this statute to the highest court." Now, Bailey's appeal will land in Missouri's 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. No word on how quickly that will happen. Now look for the second part of my exclusive 2021 report on SAPA in our next half hour. You'll see how local departments struggle to keep doing their jobs while worrying about the financial consequences of violating that law.